In the last few weeks, we have had a lot of moving parts and discussions and changes, and most of the interaction that the council has had and staff has had has been 1-by-1 or 2-by-1s, and there's never really been a sit-down discussion with this council to talk about what we are facing in the next few years with regards to expenditures. And in the course of the 2-by-2s, certain concepts came up. Everybody seemed to have a consensus, and then somehow they didn't materialize, which resulted in another conversation, which is creating a lot of confusion. And even in the last 2 weeks, we've gone from one school to a new school, going to 3 elementary schools, and doing a workforce development program. 2 of those items, we haven't even talked about what the costs associated with those are in moving forward. And I've sent out a note to everybody, so you've all gotten it, and I've got some concerns too with regards to, we all agree here when it comes to the schools, the object is when a child leaves our city schools, they're going into a good job to be able to support a family, have a good living. If they want to go to college, they can do that. And we need to make sure when we make these decisions and spend this money, that is what is going to happen. And I do have some concerns of associating a capital project with that outcome. And I think that needs to be a little bit more discussion, because we're about to embark on some very big costs, yet we haven't as a council coalesced yet and have a set down face-to-face discussion. So all I'm asking is, unless anybody has a big problem with it, to have the staff set up as soon as we can, because I think if there's going to be any changes or any concerns, now's the time to put them in place, not wait until February or December when all the paperwork's getting done, because right now we're essentially embarking on spending a significant amount of money just to get plans on the table. So if there's going to be any changes or any concerns, we need to get those expressed now. So I'm hoping we can have a work session where the only topic on the work session is going to be, what are we looking at in the next few years with regards to expenditures and where we're at? Because again, a lot of stuff has changed very quickly in this conversation, and we have not had a chance to sit down and really absorb it and have staff walk us through and get all the questions asked and answered amongst ourselves so we can present, this is what the council is doing. We can't keep doing these 2-by-2s and 1-by-1s. It's just not working.
So a work session solely on expenditures, not much of a problem. The only item I'd like to push back on just a little bit is the idea that we haven't discussed the school. We have discussed the school, and we've discussed the school, I think, extensively. And in fact, we had a work session, a joint work session with the school board, in which that was the single item. And if there wasn't an issue that was raised there or something that was not properly addressed, I'd like to know more about what that particular issue was, because one of the things that we said at the beginning is the elementary school population has outgrown the current capacity of our buildings. And I think that's been proven time and time again. We have, worked with the school board members and with staff, both city staff and school staff, on a path forward. We've also recognized the notion that the size of a school has a tremendous impact on a student in the younger ages. And so, the idea that we need to prepare them for either college or a good job as soon as they walk out the door, 100% agree. But that doesn't start at high school, starts at kindergarten, if not before that. And the idea behind, is a single building going to fix all our problems? Absolutely not. It's necessary. It's not sufficient, but it is necessary. And so much academic research has proven that the actual size of the school and the literal number of students inside that school building has a direct correlation on the performance of those students later in life, not just academically, but on future earnings. We talked about this actually a fairly extensive amount on the ECE task force, on the Educational Capacity Task Force that Councilor Devine and I served on. And they presented some of that research to us. And as representatives of City Council, we took that information, absorbed that information, and recognized the need that this is something that has to be done for our children to have that kind of future that you so well put. So, as as it combines with, wastewater treatment, fire department, and all the other capital expenditures coming down, and we want to have a discussion on that, I understand that. But I believe the school issue has been pretty well discussed at this point, and unless there's a very particular, specific item within that discussion, I'm unsure as to what the general concern is at this time.
Mr. Withers.
Madam Mayor, I don't think it's been thoroughly discussed. We've gone to a $65 million school in less than a month, so I don't think it's been thoroughly discussed. And I assume that Councilman Graham is telling us is if we build a $65 million school, our scores and test scores and our learning abilities is going to be raised significantly. Look, I've seen cities that build new schools and spend all their money on buildings, and the result is not good. The result is not. I think Kansas City was one of them. So for me, it's not settled. I can tell you that. For me, it's not settled. Until we come up with a way to show how we can spend this money and how we can pay it back, it's not settled for me. I can tell you that. Mayor, thank you very much.
I don't think we're going to resolve this at this time, and we have before us Councilor Graham is correct that we had a joint meeting, and we didn't, as a council, express a clear direction. I'm not sure whether we did.
What? Well, Madam Mayor, we need to do that before we get this far down the road. I mean,
the question is
I can tell you that there are 3 councils right here tonight that I know of that are concerned about this money, and maybe 4. So I think Matt's right. We need to sit down and finalize this and say, are we either going to do it or set some limits on what we're going to do, and let our staff know now before it gets snowballing down the road. It's a simple thing. Thank you.
okay. I see heads nodding. I'm looking at our city manager and assistant city manager.
Yes, Madam Mayor, to council and you, Mayor, we are happy to schedule a work session on October 12th.
October 12th.
For this topic, I'm sorry, October 12th. Yes, ma'am.
October 12th.
To focus on this, I don't want to appear to be taking sides, but there is some clarity that we would appreciate on exactly what council would like to do as far as providing direction to us to communicate to the school system.
Yeah.
We're happy to schedule that, and we'll prepare to do so unless there's any objection.
No, I think that everyone would appreciate that.